And then the next one, he made it, when he first got out of the hospital, he talked about how everybody had changed. I don't know how many months he was in there. It was quite a long time. But how everybody had changed. His friends would change. Everybody was different. We were partying. We were doing things. And he just didn't want to be a part of that. And he didn't know what to do. And then he started getting depressed. And then he started thinking about suicide, okay? And he just didn't want to live anymore. He quit. He was mad at God. He quit going to church. Every Sunday he would just tell his mom, I just don't feel good, I don't want to go, so she wouldn't make him go. But he was just not going because he was mad at God. And he wanted to end it all. And so he made what they call a church. Christ Renews His Parish at St. Edward's. And that weekend, he said, affected him in such a big way that he realized how blessed he was. And he said that, I can't, so many people have helped me, I want to give back, and I'm going to do it whatever way I can. And he found all kinds of different ways to do it. He taught school, he worked with youth groups, he was part of the tech community in Peoria, which is a Teens Encounter Christ. He was always giving talks. Anytime I wanted him to talk to youth groups, he was there. So he was always giving back. And he said little by little, he started to come back into the folds with Jesus. And his life started to have purpose and meaning. And he wasn't having suicide thoughts. He said that every night, not every night, I don't know how often, but I never, ever, ever saw Billy cry. He was so strong. But I know that at night when he was in bed, that's when he was tearing up and he was crying and he was having difficult times, but we never saw it. You never saw him have a difficult time. It was always, he was doing it alone in his bed at night. That's where he would deal with that. And so anyway, the next church, they wanted him to be on the team, and so he was going to give a talk, and he asked some of us to go. And I was one of them, and I'd never been on a retreat before. I really didn't want to go, but because Billy asked me, I was there. And I could tell you Billy's life story. I really could. Or I thought I could. Because when he got up there in front of this group of men, all older than him, and he started to tell his life story, and he talked about the suicide, and he just laid it all out there for these guys, it changed my life. I was crying through the whole thing because I had no idea how he was struggling. I had no idea whatsoever. And so for me, it changed my life as far as purpose and meaning, that I just wanted to do something. I didn't know what, but because of seeing him and how he affected people's lives, that made me want to do something. And so I think that's how I was drawn to working with the youth. The next thing was the first time taking care of Billy. We were going to go on a week-long conference, and so to get me ready for that, Mary would have me come over in the morning and learn how to do it. And then she'd have me come over at night and teach me how to do it. And I was getting a little stressed out because there was quite a bit to it, things I'd never done before. And I know she had to have been freaked out about going off that week. Just me and one other person went along, but I was basically taking care of him. And to see how much he had to go through with the simple things that we just take for granted, the simple things that we do every day, that he had to, it was completely different for him. He had to go through a lot of crap. He really did. A lot of BS that none of us even think about. And so I came away from that weekend with an incredible attitude of gratitude, of just all the little things in my life. Just to be able to stand up and sit down, and if you're thirsty, you can go get a drink of water. If you got an itch in your ear, you can get to that itch. Just so many things I walked away from there. And it also gave me a new respect for Mary and what she did and how because I swear, the way she got him from that chair to that bed, I don't think I ever accomplished that the way she did. And then the third one is after Billy's, first time taking care of it. Okay, after Billy's mom died. I know that when I was at Mary's funeral, that had to be the saddest funeral I've ever been to, because everybody understood what Billy, well, we didn't understand, but we were thinking about Billy, what's going to happen to Billy. And so there was just this weight over this, maybe I'm the only one that experienced this, I don't know, but there was just this weight over this funeral because we were all worried about Billy, what's going to happen to him. And there's a saying, I just heard this the other day by C.K. Chesterton. He said that suffering not transformed is transmitted. And I thought a lot about that. And I thought a lot about Billy, how he would take that suffering and turn it into a positive. He never ran from the suffering. He entered into it. It was just so impressive that, you know, to be around him, to see what he would go through and how he had handled that. But after Mary died, it wasn't the same. I remember the first night, he asked me to come and help a couple nights a week and kind of give the people that were taking care of him a break. And I looked into his eyes, and I could see the first time I went there, he was already in bed. Tom Roman was taking care of him at night, had him in bed, and I looked into his eyes, and I don't know what I saw, but I didn't see the Billy that I remember. It was like Brian, we were talking about it, the light wasn't on anymore, like the hope was gone, and he was just struggling. And from what I understand, he had shared with Deacon Greg Srangely that he was telling him that I just want to go and be with Mom. I'm so tired of suffering. I'm so tired of, I'm tired of being sick all the time. I'm tired of being in the hospital. And he didn't have that same light about him. And so, I think about, I have a friend whose parents, when I go to see them, the last thing you want to ask them is how you're doing, because they'll just go on and on and on about how bad things were. And that's what I see is when suffering is transmitted. It's it affects us all in a negative way, and that's kind of what was happening to Billy after Mary died, that he couldn't turn that suffering into something good anymore. It was just tearing him up, and it was very, very difficult on all the family because they were having to make decisions that this is nothing they've ever had to deal with, and he was at some of the points he was falling. He was just quitting breathing. He'd be sitting there and just quit breathing, and they'd tell us, well, you got to slap him in the face to wake him up. And I'm thinking, oh man, I got to slap him in the face to wake him up. It was just crazy. And then I was just going to tell a little bit, but one thing I did want to mention is he had 3 people that took care of him. Tom Roman, Matt Donovan, and Ryan Rose. I don't know how often he did. I don't know if he filled in, but he was there quite a bit. And Mary taught them how to take care of him. And I would come, and a lot of times Tom would be putting him away, and then in the morning I would still be there because I'd stay overnight, and then Matt would come and get him up, and Ryan was kind of in and out of that whole thing. But it was just a beautiful thing to watch these guys take care of him. And nobody could take the place of Mary. But these guys, it was just an incredible thing to see how they took care of him with so much love, and they had to do it Mary's way. Billy would not let them do it Mary's way. And I would go there, like Tom would be taking care of it, and I don't have cable at home, and so Billy had cable, so I was kind of watching. I was supposed to be watching them to see what they're doing, because I knew how to do everything, but I didn't know the flow of everything. And so whenever I did it, I had to say, okay, Billy, what's next? Billy just wanted to go to bed. He didn't want to have to deal with me saying, what's next? But he did. He never. And these guys will tell you that when you got done, he would look you in the eyes and he would say thank you. And I can't tell you what the depth of love you could feel from this man when he was so grateful for the help you gave him. And it wasn't Mom, but it was, he knew that it took a lot to do what they did. So I just wanted to mention that.